Sweet fancy Moses, am I excited about today's video. We're talking about the brand Aqara. Have you heard of them? Because if you haven't, you should. They make smart home products and home security products, and man, are they on a freaking roll. Visiting CES this year in January and visiting their booth, man, they've got an exciting 2025 and 2026 coming up, and all other smart brands should take notice. But today, we are talking about a product from Aqara that I have been waiting for a long, long time. And it's here. It's finally here. Let's talk all about it. What is up, everybody? George Langevere here. Today we're talking about Aqara. If you're not familiar with Aqara, like I said, you should be, because they make all sorts of smart home products and home security products. And of course, those are two boxes that I love to tick because that's what I'm all about, the smart home and home security. Now, especially on the home security side, I've really loved Aqara. They've got every sensor you can think of: door and window, vibration, motion, presence, flood and water leak sensors. But they've also had a full line of indoor security cameras. But as the security camera guy, me, yours truly, and a lot of Aqara fans have been waiting for this day, the day that Aqara brings out an outdoor security camera. I thought it would never come. We've been asking for it, but here it is. We've got the Aqara Camera Hub G5 Pro. I'm gonna tell you all about it. I'm gonna unbox it. I'm gonna talk about the setup and installation. I'm gonna talk price and specs. I'm gonna talk about the Aqara app, using it with the Apple Home app. I'm gonna give you my full review, pros and cons. I wanna thank Aqara for sending me this camera. This is not a sponsored video. They just sent it to me to try. I've had it for a few weeks. I've been chomping at the bit to do this video and present it to the rest of the world. Well, let's get to it with the unboxing. All right, let's unbox the Aqara Camera Hub G5 Pro. We've got the camera itself. You can see its unique design. You can use this on a table or a wall. Got your flexibility of adjustment. We've got some documentation. We've got a USB-C to USB-C cable. Got your mounting screws and some anchors. And then you've got the tool to remove the back cover of the camera. There we go, short and sweet. All right, now that we've unboxed, let's talk about setup and installation. Before we do, I want to mention there are two versions of the G5 Pro. There's a PoE version, which stands for Power over Ethernet, meaning that you can use an Ethernet cable, Cat5, Cat6, or whatever it is, connect it to a PoE switch, which will power the camera, connect that switch to your internet, and then you have a hardwired connection. Or they have a Wi-Fi version, which you just power with a power supply and then connect it to your Wi-Fi. And that is the version I'm using. So that's what I'm using for testing. Now with that Wi-Fi version, you're gonna connect it to a power supply, you're gonna power the camera, you're gonna get yourself the Aqara app, sign up for an account if you haven't already, then you're gonna add a device and it walks you through it step by step. I recommend adding this camera to the Aqara app first, because then you can get the initial necessary firmware update, because I'm also using this camera in Apple Home or Apple HOMEKIT Secure Video, and there is a HOMEKIT code available where you can just scan it and put it right into HOMEKIT. I recommend doing it in Aqara first and then adding it to Apple Home later. So we'll talk about all of that as we continue. So setup's very easy, both in Apple Home and the Aqara app walks you through it step by step. You can have both done in under 5 minutes. Now let's talk about installation. You can either put this on a table or a piece of furniture, or you can mount it on a wall. Each installation is different. With a table, you're just going to adjust the camera accordingly and you're done. On a wall, you're going to want to adjust the angle and everything, so just keep that in mind. You're also going to need to power it. So if you're putting this outside, obviously this is an outdoor camera, you got to figure out how to power this camera. I've got mine on a power supply right outside this little apparatus I've designed for testing. So you've already got the camera set up, you've got it powered, install it on the wall or on the table, you're good to go. All right, now let's talk price and specs. For price, again, this camera is newly released, so look in the description of this video for my affiliate links. I'll have Amazon and Aqara, so check the prices if you're interested in purchasing. I'll also include any available discount codes. Talking specs, we've got 2K resolution, which equates to 4 megapixel. We've got up to 133-degree field of view. We've got an f1.0 aperture lens, which lets in 4 times more light than an f2.0 aperture lens, and that assists in giving this camera true color night vision. We have a graphene-cooled sensor, which identifies intruders at a greater distance in low light. Next up, we have what I absolutely love about Aqara and their products, and that is the smart home compatibility. This G5 Pro is Matter compatible. It can be a Matter controller. It can be a Thread border router. It's compatible with Apple Home and Apple HOMEKIT Secure Video, Google Home, Lady A from Amazon, SmartThings from Samsung, Home Assistant. It can be a Matter bridge and a Zigbee hub. The possibilities with the smart home compatibility in this camera are just absolutely endless, and I freaking love it. We've got local AI detection, so it detects people, vehicles, animals, and packages, and all that detection, again, is locally on the camera, which is very important for privacy. And because those detections are local, the events that are triggered will even trigger during an internet outage, which is fantastic. We have a PIR detection angle of 100 degrees horizontal and 65 degrees vertical. This camera also has enhanced privacy and end-to-end encryption, which is very important when you're talking about security cameras, especially in the Wi-Fi world. In addition to the local storage, this camera can be backed up to a NAS. You can also use iCloud, and you can also use Aqara's cloud. The Wi-Fi version of the camera, which again is the one I'm testing, is dual band, so it works with 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz, and has WPA3 security. Now we're talking about the two versions. We got the PoE version, which I said you could use a power over Ethernet switch to power the camera. You can also use a regular power supply, just like we're doing with the Wi-Fi version. So you got two power options on the PoE model. We've got an IP65 weather rating, which is rated negative 22 degrees Fahrenheit up to 122 degrees Fahrenheit. And lastly, the G5 Pro has two-way audio. All right, before we move on, I just want to do a night vision demonstration of this camera. Now keep in mind that I've got the city lights out there and the parking lot lights down below, but you'd be surprised how dark it is on my terrace when I turn off my decorative balcony lights. All right, let's do this demo in a couple different scenarios. So out of my terrace, I have some Govee string lights on my railing. I'm going to show you the night vision with those string lights on. First, we will do it with no spotlight on the camera. So you can see that night vision here. Then if we turn the spotlight on, you can see it takes it up a notch. All right, let's turn off the string lights on my railing and see how that works. So here's the night vision with no spotlight and no string lights. I can't stress enough how dark it is on this terrace right now. All right, so that's without the spotlight. Let's turn on the spotlight. This is where I'm telling you it's some of the best night vision I've ever seen on a Wi-Fi camera in color. Really takes it up a level, and Aqara did a great job when we're using the spotlight. All right, now let's talk about using the G5 Pro with both the Aqara app and in my case, the Apple Home app. We're gonna hit the highlights and we're gonna start with the Aqara app. So here you go, I'm in the Aqara app, you can see my image. Nice snowy day here in Omaha, Nebraska. Right below the image to the left, you can go into privacy mode where you can actually turn the camera off. You can take a stationary picture right there with the camera icon. You can hit record to start recording a clip. Hit it again to stop. You got the phone icon if you want to talk through the camera, and then you've got a pause. At the top of the image, you can go multiple images there, and then you can also control the audio that's actually hearing through the camera, and you can go full screen. Now let's go one step further below. You got associated event where you can use the G5 in conjunction with the other Aqara devices in your home, and that's pretty cool. Then you've got the album where it'll be your stationary pictures and your video clips. You can turn on and off the spotlight, which enhances that true color night vision even more. You can control your face recognition, your vehicle recognition, your package detection, human detection, lingerer detection, AI sound detection, your animal detection, and lens obstruction detection. You got all that right there. At the very bottom, now we're in live mode, you can go to timeline, that'll give you your timeline. You got your different events there coded in blue. You can control your date right there, and then you can just scroll through very easily. I really like the scrub on this camera. It makes it really easy to navigate. And also in playback, you can hit pause. You can see there on the image, you can actually hit 1x. That's the speed that you're watching the playback in. You can take a stationary picture and you can hit record, and you can also toggle on and off the audio, and you can also go full screen. Going back to the live image, let's hit the settings icon on the top right. There you've got the name of your camera and your device card, just like any other Aqara device. You can name it whatever you want. You got your device settings, you got camera settings, you got some video settings, your privacy mode, your volume. You can also do time lapse on this camera, which is cool. You can do a custom ringtone, and you can control your power frequency. You can also restart the device down below. Detection settings, you can do face recognition, vehicle recognition, person detection, lingering detection, AI sound detection, animal detection, package detection, lens obstruction detection. This app is so intense, I can't go through all of this, or this would be a 2-hour video. Man, Aqara knocks it out of the park with this app. But there you can see you can toggle on and off your face recognition, your push notifications, cloud recording, detection sensitivity, detection region. If you go into that, you can do a grid, and you can control that. You can actually put in different boxes here, so that's pretty cool. I'm not going to save that. Detection period, so you can control the schedule of when your detection events come in. And detection frequency. Face management. This camera does have facial recognition. There's the different faces I have in there. You can also do vehicle management. Now, I'm on the 7th floor of an 8-story building, so I can't do the vehicle management up here, but you could, and that's pretty cool. Correlate to an alert system. After correlation, the cameras will act as a security camera and will automatically record video when an alert is triggered. So that's pretty cool. You've got security settings, you've got accidental removal protection, device offline notification, Aqara Matter controller. So if you're doing the Matter integration, that's where you go ahead and set that up. So this is, again, at the initial setup, you're going to set up your camera through the Aqara app, and then if you want to get it in a Matter, this is where you do it. You've got your albums, you got your HOMEKIT options, you got your child devices, network information. This is where you do the firmware update. So when you first set up the camera and you get the Aqara app, that's where you do that firmware update. Related items of the device, logs, remove accessory. Again, I can't go into everything. It's crazy. Aqara, man, you know how to make an app. All right, before we move on to the Apple Home app and those highlights, I want to talk about the storage options on this camera that you can see right here in the Aqara app. You've got local storage and you've got cloud storage. All right, so for the local storage, keep in mind there is no SD slot on this camera, so you're not using a micro SD slot. There's 2 versions of the local storage. There's the online version, like if you're buying this camera from Amazon, that gives you 8 gigs of local storage. And then there's a retail version, if you're buying the camera from a retailer, that gives you 32 gigs of local storage. So keep that in mind, because that can be very important. And like I said, you can also connect this camera to a NAS, and that gives you up to a full year of recordings, and that's awesome. Now, on all the plans we're talking about, it's event-only recording. It's not 24/7. Then let's move on to the cloud plans. You've got no plan, you've got Aqara's Home Guardian plan, and then of course you've got iCloud Plus through HOMEKIT Secure Video, which you've got your normal recordings through Apple Home. I'm using the Home Guardian plan, and I really like it. It really gives you several additional features. Now for that Home Guardian plan, it's $4.99 for a single camera a month, or $49.99 a year for a single camera. Or if you've got multiple cameras like I do, it's $9.99 a month or $99.99 a year. So just keep in mind what type of storage you want to go with. All right, moving on to Apple Home. Now compared to the Aqara app, this is pretty lame. And that's not Aqara's fault, that's Apple's fault. But here you go, here's my image. You got the normal situation here. You do have HOMEKIT Secure Video. This is gonna drop it down to 1080p because this is HOMEKIT Secure Video we're talking about. You can mute the camera in the top right. You've got your scrub as far as your vents down below. You can change your date up above. Go into the settings of the camera. You can rename it here in the Apple Home app. What room you've got it in an Apple Home. The accessories attached to the camera. You can add it to your home view. You can do status and notifications. You've got your normal status and notifications there. You've got your recording options, just like any other camera. You can stream, allow recording, you can do both. You can do the different types of recordings, which is people, animals, vehicles, and packages. And then of course, with HOMEKIT Secure Video, you also have that facial recognition. And that's where the face recognition comes in right there. So you got all the different faces that's recognized. You can do activity zones. You can toggle on and off the camera status light, and then you can remove the camera from your home. Again, with the Apple Home app, it's very basic, but hey, we've got the compatibility and that's all that matters. Yay. All right, now moving on to my review, my pros and cons. What do I think of the Aqara Camera Hub G5 Pro? Let's start with the pros. Again, the color night vision on this camera is the best I've tested on a Wi-Fi camera, and it's pretty exciting. I mean, it looks like it's daylight at times. Some of these other brands really advertise like daylight night vision. This one has it. Now, the resolution is great when you're in the Aqara app, because unfortunately in the Apple Home app, it drops down to 1080p. But it's cool that in the Aqara app, it maintains its resolution. Some brands don't let you do that. But 2K is a good standard. I wish it was 4K, but oh well. The camera has a nice wide field of view, so that's a pro. The smart home compatibility on this camera is insane. Nobody does smart home compatibility in the security game like Aqara. No one can touch them. I wish all other brands would follow suit. I also love that this camera is dual band as far as your Wi-Fi goes, so 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz, that's a plus. It's awesome that we got two options, PoE and Wi-Fi. Both have their advantages, but again, it's just great to have options. This camera has a very unique design. There's not many cameras out there that look anything like it. I think that's a pro. And I've said this in a couple videos recently, but again, we're on a roll with two-way audio. I could hear very well through the camera, and then shocker of shockers, as far as the speaker hearing through the camera outside, trying to scare somebody away, you can hear through this camera pretty well. It was nice and clear, there was no delay, and I've also said this before, there's not a Wi-Fi camera in the universe that you're gonna be able to scream across a large yard or piece of property, but this camera did the job pretty well. Take a listen.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? How do I sound? How is the clarity? Testing, testing, testing.
All right, moving on to my cons. Now, I don't know what's going on here because it's every camera that I've tested recently, not just Aqara, every brand, but for some reason I get a lot of false alarms as far as detecting people. I've got these little white smokestacks on this roof, and for some reason, every camera I'm testing thinks they are people. They don't look anything like people, so I don't get it. But this camera was no different. I got some false alarms. In fact, it was said that somebody was lingering by the door a lot. There was nobody lingering by the door. So unfortunately, I'm not sure why that's happening on these different cameras, but it is, so it's a con. Now, I do like the design of this camera, but there is a little bit of a learning curve as far as getting it adjusted exactly as you want, especially when you put it on the wall. It's not a big deal, but just keep that in mind to really fine tune it. It's a little different than most cameras. Now, this camera has an IP65 weather rating, and it's supposed to be rated negative 22 degrees up to 122 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, here in Omaha, we've had a crazy cold spell. I'm talking negative 10 degrees normal, and then you're adding wind chills, negative 20, negative 30, and it's been like that several days in a row. Now, for some reason on this camera in particular, because I'm testing other brands as well, I got some problems with connection issues. Now, it's just for a moment or two, and it's when it's really cold. It seems to be when it's dark outside, and it's just for a moment, but it's connection issues nonetheless. When it's nicer outside and it's above zero, no issues, but I'm talking negative 10 or below, I've had just little nitpicky connection issues. Again, not several minutes, not hours, just a few seconds here and there, but still a con. And this final con that I cannot stress enough, that is not Aqara's fault. Again, this is not Aqara's fault. This is Apple's fault, and that's HOMEKIT Secure Video just being 1080p. We need to kick that up to 2K or 4K, but 2K specifically. Again, this camera is a 2K resolution camera, but it drops down in HOMEKIT, and I don't like that. So please, Apple, please, at some point, soon, you're coming out with a camera of your own, maybe? When you do that, please give us 2K in HOMEKIT Secure Video. All right, there you go. That's my review of the Aqara Camera Hub G5 Pro. What do you think? Oh my goodness, was I excited for this camera to come out. I love Aqara so much, and all I was missing was an outdoor camera for so long, and me and so many others wanted this, and it's here. It's finally here, and I do feel like this camera lived up to the hype. I really like it. Few nitpicky cons, but man, overall, what a great camera. Check in the description of this video for the prices and the affiliate links if you're interested in purchasing. but I'd love to know what you think. Were you one of those people waiting like me? Tell me the story, man. It's here. It's here. And they have two different options, PoE and Wi-Fi. I mean, Aqara just listens. Again, CES this year, visiting the Aqara booth. They've got so much cool stuff coming out. Man, you know, you've got Google, you got Apple, you got Lady A. Aqara is a home platform all on its own. They almost don't need anybody else. But the fact that they work so nicely with others, I love them. I freaking love them. Thank you, Aqara. Keep on keeping on. I appreciate your support so much. Thank you so much for being here. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, come back for the next one. And until then, peace and love, my friends.